Okay, so when speaking to the accuracy and the training that you go through for the teachers to be trained to hold these arms, the accuracy of well-trained officers is not affected by the relationships with students. So according to the Brookings Institute, professional police officers hit their intended targets less than 20% of the time in training situations of an active shooter. Now, what if the shooter is a current or former student? Teachers should not be asked to turn a gun on a child. So there's no way to really presume that you are going to be facing someone that you don't know or that the teacher doesn't know. It could be possible that they might have to turn their attention towards someone who's in the classroom as well. And that the detachment of relationship between law enforcement and the active shooter is what really kind of helps promote their accuracy. And there's higher standards for security professionals, obviously. Paul Tim, president of the school security consulting firm RETA Security, says that the only person or persons that should be armed in schools should be police officers. Why? Because that is their job, and they have all kinds of standards and trainings requirements that they need to follow to make sure that they're operating with that weapon as safely as possible. And then to add to the issue of adding guns only increases more violence, Barbara Melloni, from the Massachusetts Teacher Association president, said that Donald Trump's solution to the continuing slaughter of children in American schools is to arm teachers. It reflects a bizarre commitment to violence as the answer to problems. This says something not only about the president, but about the deeper violence in our society. And we must also not forget the perspective of the children as well. And national walkout days and protests of gun violence give life to common sense gun laws movement. Emma Gonzalez, who was a senior at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, who was in Parkland, a survivor of the Parkland, Florida shooting, gave a speech to Florida lawmakers and gun advocates, and said that every single person here today, all these should be home grieving, but instead we are up here standing together because if all our government can do is send thoughts and prayers, then it's time for victims to be the change that we need to see. And in response to teachers wanting to have access to guns, law enforcement and principals principal opinions reflect distrust in arming teachers. So in a poll conducted by the enforcement executive and principal perspectives on school safety measures, most law enforcement executive, 95.6%, and principals, 83.6%, believe that SROs, which are resource officers, are the best response for school shootings, while a total of only 15 school respondents identified armed teachers and/or administrators as the best response. Not one law enforcement executive believed armed teachers and armed administrators are the best response to school shootings. And Michelle Salazar Perez, from the Cultural Studies and Critical Methodologies Journal, stated that at a Texas Senate hearing just days after the Sandy Hook shooting, representatives from districts across the state, including the Dallas Independent School District Police Chief, supported increasing security at schools rather than arming teachers. So placing guns into an environment from which we wish to exclude them is not the right answer, and it only seeks to reduce the damage of shooting once it already started and fails to prevent